for me, the most important lesson I've learned about service is that it's very much about yourself. I mean, you know, it looks like you're doing something for someone else. But really, I think the important thing is that you're doing something for yourself. And it's really important to get clear about that. Otherwise, I think it could be dangerous. You really are, by reaching out, you are helping yourself. And there's a lovely African story that I like to tell. And that is that there's an African woman sitting by the side of the road, and she's obviously in need of help. And some tall white guy comes walking by, and she sees him coming towards her. And she says to him, "If you're here to help me, please go away. If you're here for your own salvation, you can help me." And I think that's really important. And you know, Africa Bridge has brought me so much. It's fantastic. In my previous life, I was a businessman, and the companies I worked for tend to take me away from my family, whereas Africa Bridge has brought my family towards me. And not just my family, but friends, and so many new friends. By being part of this, I've met all sorts of incredible people, and got a whole new 3 degrees of friends, and you know, friends all over the world, and it's just been a great gift. So where we operate is Tanzania, which is, you know, pretty much on the opposite side of the world from Oregon. Okay, the time difference is 11 hours, so it's, you know, so if you dig a hole straight through in that direction, you'll come out roughly in Tanzania. And you know, why it's Tanzania is because I'm Tanzanian. That's where I grew up, where you know, who I am was pretty much is what formed me, was my experiences in Tanzania. And I was very fortunate. My father was a botanist, and his job was to help villagers to improve their crops. And that meant he needed to be in the villages. And in those days, in the 40s and 50s, there weren't many roads, certainly no paved roads. And so mostly we had to walk, and because it was long distances, you had to have some people to schlep your tent and all that stuff. So I mean, we slept in the villages too. And the Tanzanian people are just very warm, gracious, humorous people. And so consequently, I had an amazing childhood. Tanzania is a very stable country. The first president, President Nyerere, when he took over as president of Tanzania, he realized what he was getting was not a country, but a collection of tribes. In colonialism, you know, Africa was cut up on the maps in London and Berlin and Paris and Brussels and wherever, and there was no consideration of the people there. It was land. And so when the President Nyerere took over, he realized that what he was inheriting was a collection of tribes, and what his main job was to do was to unite Tanzania into a country. And that was his primary focus. And he, first of all, he made Swahili the universal language of the country, and everybody who went to school had to learn Swahili. So what you'll find today is that Tanzanians, the first language they learn is their tribal language, and the second language they'll learn is Swahili, and then if they're lucky, they'll learn English. And that's, has been one factor that's united the country. And then the second factor that he focused on was trying to get the tribes to come together. So he encouraged villages not to be made up of just one tribe, but a number of tribes. And at one time he did force some of that, and that caused a lot of discomfort because he was forcing people to move house and home. But that was just part of the time. So, but it's very poor. He was a socialist and didn't believe in business, and that was detrimental to the country for quite some time. It now is becoming quite capitalist, and I would sort of call it a socialist capitalist state at the moment. The total population is about 42 million, and it's similar in size, about the same size as California, I'd say. So it's quite a big country. The life expectancy is 50 years, and that's come down with mostly because of HIV/AIDS. People are very poor there. So the average income is somewhere around $1.25 a day. And there are about over 1 million people living with HIV/AIDS. Most children do get to go to primary school, but very few get to go to high school or secondary school, as it's called there, and very few to university. We assume here that everybody will go to school and can. If you're orphaned or most vulnerable child in Tanzania, then it's a privilege to go to school, even primary school. And then, once you go to school, you could be in a classroom with over 100 other kids.